Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the second news on 2nd March newspaper front page dawn. And you see a very big picture has been given here. And you can see this is, I think, okay, what is this? Islamabad advisor to the Prime Minister Babar Awan speaks to journalists as federal ministers Fawad Chowdhury and Shafqat Mahmood, special assistant to the Prime Minister Dr. Shahbaz Gill, and Senator Faisal Tawfiq look on outside the office of Election Commission of Pakistan on Monday, and Tanveer Shahzad's White Star. Apex Court ruling vindicates our stance government opposition. Shibli says, bad day for traders of conscience. And Shabkat wants um, Shabkat wants a blockade on vote for identification. According to Mariam, yes, Duska fog technologies won't work. PPP insists anticipatory ordinance has expired after verdict. By Iftihar A. Khan, Islamabad, as the Supreme Court finally gave its opinion on the question of open ballot just a couple of days before the Senate poll, when political temperature in the federal capital is at its peak, both the opposition and the government hailed the much-awaited ruling on Monday, calling it the victory of their positions. Hailing the decisions as a historic minister for information Senator Shibli Farage in a tweet said, today is a bad day for the businessmen and the traders of conscience. Those who set up markets for votes will be disappointed. This is a success of Imran Khan's vision of transparent elections with the use of technology in the light of the Supreme Court opinion. Transparency will be ensured and identification of votes will become possible. Education Minister Shafqat Mahmood also told reporters outside the head office of the Election Commission of Pakistan (ECP) in Islamabad that the Supreme Court's decision supports our stance and takes it forward. The Education Minister was joined by advisor to the Prime Minister on Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Babar Awan, a Federal Minister for Science and Technology, Fawad Chowdhury, Special Assistant to Prime Minister on Political Communication, Shahbaz Gill, Advisor to Prime Minister on Interior and Accountability, Mirza Shahzad Akbar, and PTI Senator Faisal Javed. Mr. Mahmood said the Supreme Court decision has shown a path as to how bad practices in the Senate elections could be prevented. It was clearly written that it was the duty of the ECP to conduct an election free of corrupt practices. He said, adding that in his view, the best way to ensure this was to have a barcode on votes or anything that could make the votes identifiable. He said that this way the ECP would be able to determine who had voted for whom during the Senate election. The election, and the education minister said the PTI feels that this Supreme Court decision validates our stance and takes it forward against the environment of corruption with regards to the Senate polls, which had been developed in the past, must be eliminated. And what the Supreme Court said is that such measures should be taken and should not let the corruption mar the poll exercise. Advisor Oman said the Supreme Court referred to the 1967 decision of the top court that allowed for secrecy and to be lifted considering the present circumstances, and this is clearly written. And this is a decisive moment in Pakistan's history for elections to be conducted fairly, he said, adding that the entire power went into the words under Article 218, that is, no organize and conduct, to organize and conduct the elections, which the Election Commission does. For the very beginning, Prime Minister Khan had been striving for corruption-free elections. The advisor said he wanted that at least once there should be no market of conscience selling during the Senate elections, he remarked. Minister Chaudhry said the Supreme Court's advice was clear that voters and their votes should be identifiable. This is the principle on which the Prime Minister and the Cabinet had sent this reference to the Supreme Court, he said. What is the Supreme Court's decision? They have said the secrecy of the ballot will remain secret for political parties, but it won't be secret for the ECP. So, if there are allegations of horse trading or selling of votes, then the ECP can conduct an inquiry, said Mr. Chaudhry. The technology minister also tweeted that the Supreme Court had acknowledged the stance to end horse trading and corrupt practices in the Senate polls, adding it has not adhered to the principle of full secret ballot. Opposition parties, in her tweet, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, Vice President Mariam Nawaz said, the Supreme Court opinion once again proved that the Constitution is far above the tricks of vote thieves, malicious references, and conspirational ordinances. After the court decision, she said, alarms of technology are being raised, but warned that RTS and Duska fog technologies wouldn't work anymore. Why are you afraid of the power of the vote? She questioned. Former Premier Shahid Khan Abbasi, who is also Vice President of the PMLN, while speaking at a press conference, criticized President Arif Alvi for promulgating two highly controversial ordinances, one against Justice Qazi Faiz Issa of the Supreme Court and the other providing for open ballot for Senate elections even before the Supreme Court decision on the presidential reference on the same matter. Had he gone through the Constitution, there would have been no need to send a reference to the Supreme Court, and the ex-Prime Minister remarked. He noted that President Alpi should represent the state and not a particular political party, and therefore must not promulgate politically motivated and controversial ordinances. The Pakistan People's Party also welcomed the Supreme Court verdict on the question of voting in Senate elections. PPP Secretary General Faratullah Baba hailed the verdict as triumph of law, justice, and constitutionalism. It is also a vindication of the position taken by the PPP in the Supreme Court on the issue, he said. The PPP deplored that the PTI government abused the office of the president into filing the presidential references. He said the president's office issued an ordinance even when the apex court was seized with the same matter. Never before legislation had been sought and to be done and through what has come to be known as anticipatory ordinance, he added. Anticipatory ordinance, the PPP Secretary General said it was no less deplorable that the President also signed on the dotted line of the advice sent to him in filing a reference under the Constitution before the Supreme Court, as well as in issuing an anticipatory ordinance without applying his mind and without asking any questions from the government. The office of the President of Pakistan was and ought to be much more than merely an ordinance making workshop, he remarked. EPP Central Information Secretary and MNA Shazia Atta Murray said the PTI leadership had no trust in elected party members. The apex court rejected the presidential reference seeking Senate elections through open ballot and clearly directed the authorities concerned that the Senate polls be conducted through secret ballot under Article 226 of the Constitution. In this connection, the Supreme Court has declared it mandatory to abide by the Constitution, she said, while hailing the decision. She said the PTI-led government should refrain from making the apex code controversial in this regard. She said both the presidential reference and the related ordinance expired after the opinion of the apex code. The government cannot run the country through merely promulgating ordinances, she added. The government seemed worried after the court opinion on the presidential reference, she said, adding that the government could not force the ECP to violate the Constitution. And in the end, the formal request, if you have not yet, please subscribe the channel and press the like and bell button to get the fresh from us. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. Goodbye.